ourselves come from the land. How much land must we have? We've got to know just what it takes to feed an entire people. That means we are independent. We've taken our stomach away from our enemies. How much clay land must we have in order to make bricks, to start building houses? How much forest land must we have to cut down the trees and make wood to build homes? And we have to have land, and there is no compromising this.
Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
The truth must be recognized by the black man. But the word economics comes from the Greek eikonomikos, but it has come to be defined as the science of production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services, or the material welfare of humanity. Now, a blueprint is something defined that acts as a plan, a model, or something providing guidance. An economic blueprint is exactly what we need.
1, 2, 3.
Doctor, you in the house? Lawyer, you in the house? Teacher, you in the house? Preacher, you in the house? Tell me something. If you don't eat well, how long will you practice law? If you don't eat well, you become the patient, doctor. So don't look down on a farmer, look up to a farmer, because today it will be us farming our own land, producing our own food that will save our lives. It hurts me to travel and see us so dependent on others for the basic necessities of life, when the richness of our land is there to produce all that we need and then some.
And we're getting ready to do a little walk. Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
The truth must be recognized by the black man. We are an international people. Our brothers and sisters are all over the world, desirous of doing business with us. But if we are not producing anything, we can't enter into trade and commerce with the nations of the earth. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote in Message to a Black Man, quote, as a people, we must become producers and not remain consumers and employees. We must be able to extract raw materials from the earth and manufacture them into something useful for ourselves. This would create jobs in production. We must remember that without land, there is no production. And the surplus of what we produce, we would sell. This would help develop a field of commerce and trade as other free and independent people whose population is less than that of ours, so-called Negroes. The truth must be recognized by the black man.
We're talking about revolution because that's the era that you're caught in. You're caught in a revolutionary era.
Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad outlined some basic principles. Number one, recognize the necessity for unity and group operation. Do you understand that if we can work together as a group in unity, we will be more successful, more powerful, more able to do the things that as individuals working by ourselves, we have never been able to do. Pool your resources physically as well as financially. Stop wanton criticism of everything that is black owned and operate. Keep in mind that jealousy destroys from within. Observe the operations of the white man. He is successful. He makes no excuses for his failures. He works hard in a collective manner. You do the same. Now, these are things that we must do. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked us to commit to save 5 cents a day. He said if we can save just 5 cents a day from our wages, 25 cents a week for 52 weeks in the year, that would mean we would put aside $13 a year that we could save in a national savings treasury. At that time that he wrote this, we numbered 22 million people and approximately 5 million were wage earners. Well, if 5 million wage earners save $13 a year, this would mean 65 million saved out of our wages in 1 year. At the rate of 25 cents per week, it would be painless. Today, brothers and sisters, don't you think we can do better than what we were asked to do 48 years ago? According to government statistics, there are a little over 16 million blacks employed at some level. Well, look what happens if we raise the economic bar and contribute the same nickel a day. The truth must be recognized by the black man.
Defending black women and black children and black babies.
Must be recognized by the black man. The Honorable
Greetings, listeners. I begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I bear witness that there is but one God. Welcome to the Black Agenda here on the Street 919 FM. I am Brother David Muhammad, and I'm going to be in studio with you up to 9 o'clock this morning, inshallah. And in a short while from now, I will open up the telephone lines and take your calls on 342-0081 and 466-5391. You can send WhatsApp messages directly to me on 332-0214. And you can go to the social media pages of the Street 919 FM and see what's happening in studio. So we are almost halfway through November, which is African History Month in Trinidad and Tobago. And it's a month where, as with every month, we do our best to get a message of motivation and inspiration across to the entire society, but in particular, our young students. And so this week, we spoke to hundreds of our students down in the South area. And this week, we continue in the Port of Spain area. And next week, inshallah, I'll be doing a tour of secondary schools in Tobago. And we're getting this message across of the great African heritage and legacy and potential of our people. If our youth know that they were the descendants of kings and queens, the offspring and the ancestors of those who built the first civilizations, the first towns and villages, the first schools and libraries, the first hospitals and clinics, all built by African people who wrote the alphabet, who created mathematics and science, art, music and philosophy, all from African people. And even after that, coming through the Holocaust period of enslavement, the worst crimes against humanity ever committed by anyone against anyone else. Even after all of that, we rose to be responsible for so many great black inventions, so many magnificent contributions to humanity and civilization. There's so much that we don't know because there's so much that we are not taught. And what's interesting to me, I'm getting to that stage in my life where I have spoken to so many people that when I go back, because I mean, there are hundreds of schools in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think I have spoken in most of the government secondary schools. I think I could say I've spoken in all of the government secondary schools in Port of Spain, in Virens, all along the east-west corridor, in South, in Tobago, and in Point Fortin. I believe I've spoken at all. I cannot think of any school where I have not addressed hundreds of students in. But the point that I'm making is, with all of these schools, there are some schools that I would speak at maybe once a year or even twice in 1 year. Hardly any schools I'll speak in twice in 1 year. But on average, most of these schools I'll speak at maybe, hard to say, maybe once every 5 years. Some schools, maybe once every 10 years. But the point that I'm trying to make is, as was my experience this week, I'm invited to speak at a school that I've been to before, and then when you go there, it's completely different people. Obviously, it's different children, but in some cases, different staff as well. And I'm in a school, I'm addressing about 400 or 500 students. And I'm thinking to myself, the last time I was here, these students now who are 15, 16, 17 years old would have been 8, 9, or 10. Yesterday at one of the tertiary institution graduations, I'm seeing students that I taught. And some, just a few, I would have taught in primary school, on the secondary level, and the tertiary level. And now they have children. So life is racing past. You notice to see people reading the news on television? And I taught them in primary school. And in speaking with the schools in Tobago, making the arrangements for next week, again, most, but clearly, none of the students will be there, because the last time I spoke, did a school tour in Tobago, might have been about 7 years ago. I mean, I've spoken in schools in Tobago off and on, but to do a one after another, probably about 7 or 8 years ago. A lot of the teachers are different. A lot of the principals are different. All of the children are different, because you don't spend more than 6 years basically in a secondary school, forms 1 to 5. But it's making me reflect. Time is shooting on by. Children that I would have taught now have grandchildren. It's scary. So, the whole world is passing us by. So we have to plant those seeds. So this morning, again, from 10 o'clock at the Kwame Ture Center, we continue with our Boys Academy sessions. We have been going into some teachings for those young men at the Kwame Ture Center. That's way ahead of their time, trust me. About 3 weeks ago, we went through 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And the ideas that are coming out of these young brothers' heads on each of those 7 points, because we get them to discuss it, not just to sit down and listen, but to discuss it. What do you think about it? Tell me an example of that. Share with me a time when you felt this, and so on and so forth. Their minds are blooming, developing, and we're building consciousness. And you don't have that kind of thought capacity at such a young age and then just turn to the wrong side later on in life. So we're interested in planting those seeds of consciousness in the minds of the youth, building those foundations. So we only have, I think, 3 weeks left for this cycle of the George Padmore Boys Academy sessions. Saturday mornings, 10 o'clock. We're going up to the first week in December. And then we're going to pause and resume in January. But this has been such a powerful cycle. It has been incredible. We did the farming, the planting of food, the agriculture. We did the self-defense, martial arts, self-confidence, self-awareness, raising your self-esteem. We did the African history last week. We had the session with the meeting of the king from Ghana. We've done so many motivational sessions. And it has been so encouraging, so inspiring. Now, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, we have a very important, very crucial lecture entitled, "What is Anti-Semitism? Who are the real Jews and the original Hebrews?" What does anti-Semitism mean? Now, this is one presentation that we cannot and won't put live on social media. Because, for those of you who have been following it, you would have seen in America these issues of censorship to black artists, black athletes, black entertainers who say anything of consciousness that exposes in any way any kind of issues with members of the Jewish community. You're seeing immediate censorship, banning. So on Thursday morning, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, early Thursday morning, did a live address to the world about the independence of black thought among black celebrities, in particular in reference to Kanye West, who has been a brother to the Nation of Islam for more than 20 years, Kyrie Irving, the basketballer who put out a link of a movie entitled From Hebrews to Negroes. It's just a movie. He didn't write the movie. He didn't produce the movie. He didn't film the movie. He saw a movie with great inspirational black history, sharing information that African people were the original Jews and the original Hebrews. He just put a link to the movie on his social media page. That's all. And they victimize him, take away his wealth, ban him, censor him, silence him, try to break him. I think as Minister Farrakhan made the point, and I want to get some clips of this for next week, inshallah. But Minister Farrakhan made the point. You see, when we together as a people, and we on that down and out level, and we smoking, we could share that with each other, pass it around. We on drugs, we could share that with each other. They don't have any problem with that. We can share self-destruction with each other, but you share knowledge, and they have to put you up in front of the public and strip and whip you, make an example of you. You're not supposed to be black conscious if you have thousands of young people following you, listening to you, paying attention to your every move. You're supposed to encourage them to do something dumb, make a clown out of themselves, be a fool, drink and get drunk, smoke and get high, gamble and lose all your money. We have role models like that, and they're promoted. You have someone standing up for consciousness, and they're brought down. So Minister Farrakhan, early Thursday morning. Now remember, they banned the minister's YouTube channel and they banned the minister's Facebook page because of that same consciousness. But guess what? He has his own empire. This is a black man who has his own army. So he has the Final Call radio station and NOI.org, the website. He spoke straight from the website, and millions of black people around the world reposted what he said, made clips out of what he said, put it on all the social media platforms that they banned the minister from. They made a mistake in doing that. It was a stupid thing on their part. So now, millions of reposts of Minister Farrakhan's speech from early Thursday morning on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on all of them. Because you're trying to silence a voice of a black man who's speaking consciousness. So, tomorrow, at the Kwame Ture Center, 11 o'clock. For my weekly lecture, we're dealing with that topic. What really is anti-Semitism? Because all on the BBC, I'm seeing they say Kanye West has lost, they say $2 billion. $2 billion. For what? Who did he kill? What bank did he rob? Which plane did he hijack? What terrorist attack did he perpetrate to lose $2 billion? No, what was his crime? He said something that was anti-Semitic. Same thing with the basketballer, Kyrie Irving. Why did they strip him? Why did they whip him? Why did they take away contracts and opportunities? He shared some knowledge about African people being the original Jews. And then when they accused him of being anti-Semitic, well, you could tell he's a student of Minister Farrakhan. Because he said, how could you call me anti-Semitic when I am Semitic? That's what they don't like us to say, man. We are the Semitic people, African people. Anyway, we're going to go deep into that tomorrow at our lecture at the Kwame Ture Center. I'm inviting you there. But beloved, this world is getting even more paranoid, even more censorship oriented. It's called cancel culture. Look at what's happening, as he pointed out last week, I think it was. Look at the trend all over the world. Look at what's happening in America. Donald Trump gave some speech, I think it was about 2 days ago. Again, it's like echoes of the past days when racism ruled the land. And his influence now is growing. They're saying that Donald Trump is more influential now than he was even when he was president. And apparently he's going to announce this week that he's going to run again. But this time he's being even more direct. Listen, we don't want certain people in the country. We don't want certain interests. And you see in the midterm elections right now, and the Republicans more or less have won control of the House, the Congress. I haven't checked it in a couple of days, but last thing I saw, for the Senate, they were tied, Democrats, Republicans. But for the Congress, it was the Republicans who were in the majority. Now, this has happened a number of times before under their system, where one party wins the general election, then the other party wins control of the House, which is a major impediment for the ruling party to make laws. Same thing happens in our society sometimes with local government and central government. But who would have thought that after a reign of Donald Trump, like how it went, and again, him being banned off certain social media platforms, that he would come back with this influence now? Who would have thought? Meanwhile, over in Italy, again, first fascist prime minister since the 1940s. She's also the first female prime minister, but she's the first fascist prime minister. Again, fascism is political racism. Across from them in Italy, you had France, where Marine Le Pen, fascist political leader, almost became the president. And in England, with their first person of color, first Asian Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. It has aroused and awakened so many sentiments of racism. Now check this out. Because this is where we need to be conscious. Because there was a news story that was on one of the radio stations in Trinidad about in Jamaica. Now think of all that I just said about Donald Trump in America, the reactions to Rishi Sunak in England, the political racist prime minister in Italy, and same in France, who almost won, barely lost, Marine Le Pen. Now think of all of that now, right? Put that as a backdrop. And there was a story coming out of Jamaica a couple days ago. In fact, it was yesterday that I heard it. In Jamaica, one member of parliament accused an opposition member of parliament for making a racist statement. What was this racist statement? Oh, we get this wrong so many times, beloved. They played the clip. And you know, when they're on these platforms, they say some of the most outrageous things. But on this platform, and a member of the opposition in Jamaica, it was a member of government in Jamaica, making a comment about a member of the opposition who apparently was white. And he was saying, you know, he's in full flight on the platform. And he's saying, Jamaica can't have no white man again as a prime minister. You know, if he wants to be a prime minister of somewhere, let him go to England. Or not England. Let him go to Wales, he said. Wales or Scotland or Ireland or Sweden or one of those places. And then the other side said, oh, no, that's a racist statement. You can't say that. We want you to apologize. Because, as they said, well, in Jamaica, this is a place where all races and everyone gets along together and all of that. Oh, I'm waiting for them to ask for my opinion on that. I did 2 interviews last week on Jamaica radio stations, last week Sunday on Iwer FM, and on Tuesday, Roots FM. But this, you see, the thing is, okay, we understand why they would call that a racist statement. But the very reason, talking about you cannot, the opposition had said, you cannot make reference to someone's skin color as a characteristic to determine their suitability for public office. That's the point that they were trying to make. But, beloved, even though a statement like that I wouldn't make myself, I can empathize with it because Jamaica, just like Trinidad and Barbados and St. Vincent, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Grenada, Guyana, Dominica, and Antigua, we were colonized and enslaved because of the color of our skin. So to call that a racist statement, to call on someone to apologize for saying that a white man should not be the prime minister of Jamaica, you're asking me to ignore the reality of the history of white oppression against black people in this geographical region. We were enslaved by white people. We were beaten, tortured, humiliated, kidnapped, human trafficked, and victims of genocide and mass murder at the hands of white people. And then when that era was over, we were colonized by white people. And all of the work that we did, all of our labor, all of our blood, sweat, and tears was drained out of our land to build up the empire of wealth for the European people. These are historical facts. So based on that history, for the individual in the Jamaican parliament to say what he said, you have to take that into context and see if there's any relevance or legitimacy in the statement at all. And apparently there is, based on the history. But again, this brainwashing that we are so engulfed by, it's like in some ways we're beginning to make a full circle back to these days of ideological censorship. And you're seeing it. I began the book Black Studies by saying there's a silent, covert, ideological, psychological war against black consciousness. They try to make African people feel guilty for being black conscious. And this is why we punctuate our language so much by saying, oh, but I'm not racist. You say anything positive about black people, and then you have to punctuate your language by saying, oh, but I'm not racist. And I was at one particular event, I'm not going to say where it was, where there were conscious people on a platform where I was invited to speak. Conscious people. And two of them, they're on the stage and they're saying, well, you know, one said something like, you know, well, we African people, we must stick together. And then he said, but I'm not racist, I'm not racist. But, you know, we African people. I'm like, damn, why do you have to say that? Why do you have to apologize all the time for being African conscious? And then the other one came on the stage, said words to the effect of, you know, we have to love our African culture. You know, well, this was a Calypsonian. I don't want to. He said, you know, we have to love our culture and love our heritage. There's African roots here. I'm not racist there. I'm not racist there, but we have to love our African. And I'm like, damn, do we hear ourselves constantly apologizing or issuing these disclaimers just in case anyone thinks we're too conscious? Now, you see when it gets to that point, they have you. It's like they have you on a leash because you could go far to a point, but not so far as you start to appear independent. No. They have to put you in check. Don't be too African conscious. They'll say, leave some room. And the society today, you see, if you can convince, let me say this. If you can convince enough people that they don't deserve equality, oh, it's all over. You've won. The Guardian newspaper, I'd love to see this article, which is supposed to come out tomorrow, in the Sunday Guardian. They called me and asked me, and again, everyone's reacting emotionally to what happened around the Rose Hill School in East Port of Spain. Because really, that was like similar kind of effect as, I wonder if you remember, the Rodney King beaten. Do you remember that? In 1991, a black man, Rodney King, was severely beaten by 4 white racist police officers. How many of you remember Rodney King and the Rodney King riots that followed? Where it was caught on back then, it was called a camcorder. It was like a small camera device. This is before we had cell phones. Small camera device that can record videos. And these 4 brutal, vicious, white police dogs, as Malcolm X would say, 2-legged police dogs, beating this black man almost to death. And it was caught on camera. Then it was played on the news. And when the people saw it, they rioted. And there were riots in Los Angeles for days upon days upon days. In 1991, going into 1992, I think it was 92, because I was in Los Angeles in 93. Now, people of wisdom were saying, okay, yeah, that was a terrible thing. Yes. That was a dreadful thing that the police did. No, it was 91, because the verdict came out in 92, where they said the 4 police officers were innocent. And that's when black people took to the streets and started rioting. But people of wisdom were saying, yes, that was horrific what was done. But, what's the but in this? Well, the but is the same scenario as the shooting by the Rose Hill Primary School. For the Rodney King beating, which broke out in riots all over America, mainly in Los Angeles. The real wisdom behind it was that, yes, it was a terrible thing that the police did in beating that unarmed black man like that, but it happens every day. And the only reason why there were riots in Los Angeles is because they saw it on film. But if that was not recorded, if it was not filmed, it would have still happened on that day, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after, as well as the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that. That was daily life. White racist police brutality against innocent unarmed black men was a way of life. But in this instance, someone filmed it. And only because it was caught on camera, it was reacted to by the whole country. But if no one had filmed it, the reality would have been the same. It's the same thing with the schools and the shooting outside Rose Hill. It was caught on film that was sent all around the country. It went viral and it was on the news. So there was a reaction. More police patrols, more joint army and police patrols. School closed for a few days. Visits there by the members of parliament and the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner of Police and the acting Commissioner of Police, and so many people. So many reactions spoken about in the parliament, debates in the Senate. But why? How come you're reacting in that way? Because of what happened, or because what happened was caught on film? And I can tell you there's not one person, not one stakeholder, I am sure, from all of the police who were involved, to the politicians who were involved, to the social media commentators who were involved. There's probably not one person I'm talking about down there on the ground, who did not know that happens all the time. Happens all the time. So all the talk about extra patrols and greater police presence and putting up a police post, that should have been the discussion the day before. Don't wait for the whole country to become shocked and horrified about it. And that's what they call living in La La Land, where the real truth and reality remains hidden most of the times. Let me tell you something. You're in the community, you take a walk, you meet some people, greet some people, talk to some of the youth on the corner, cross the road, go around the block, as I do from time to time on the ground in the community. Man, that's how you learn. What's going on? What's happening? What's the latest? What's taking place? And barely a fraction of that truth will ever make the newspapers. And even when it makes the newspapers or the 7 o'clock news, it is so filtered. It's a hell of a thing, beloved. It's a hell of a thing. And that's the dream world that we exist in. It's a dream world. We're not reacting to reality. We're reacting to sensationalism. And that the national problems are only problems when they affect certain people, certain classes. Now, I want to, and I'm gonna mention this because the countdown is on. But when we come back in the second hour, I'm going to just talk briefly about the idea of a gun amnesty. Because when I was interviewed on one of the radio stations in Jamaica this week, you know, and they asked about because there's a gun amnesty in Jamaica going on right now as we speak. Right now as we speak. And they asked me for my thoughts on it. And I said, you know, I'll tell you what I think in the next hour. But I said to them, I said, you see, during that whole COVID-19 pandemic, when you looked at a lot of political decisions that were being taken across the region, in Jamaica, in Guyana, in Trinidad and Tobago, in St. Vincent, in Antigua, a lot of different countries, you were seeing a lot of bad ideas and a lot of bad decisions taken. But what I noticed is that we, as Caribbean nations, we tend to take bad ideas from each other. So it's like one country has a bad idea, really bad idea, and that bad idea is borrowed by another country. But we can also take good ideas from each other. We can also look at what does work and share those perspectives on the intergovernmental level. And for something like that, that is an option. That's a possibility. That's something that can be considered across the board in different islands. Because again, as we mentioned last week about Haiti and all of these different American military and American political officials talking about going into Haiti, sending troops in there to deal with the gang problem. But there's a worse gang problem in both Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago. But the difference is, and the reason why the American troops are discussing going into Haiti to deal with the gang problem is because the gangs over there are organized. They're kidnapping politicians. They're killing big fish businessmen, members of the 1%, and they cannot have that. We'll be back in the next hour. Stay with us.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the Street 919 FM.
91.9 is counting down 91 days of Christmas. Yes, 91 days of Christmas. It's karaoke, prizes to be won, giveaways. It's the 91 days of Christmas on the Street 919 FM.
I could sing a good serenade. It's Christmas.
Want to furnish your home in style? Stylish Furniture makes this possible. Shop using our affordable layaway options to purchase any of our modern sectionals, dining, living room, or bedroom sets, and receive a dinner voucher for 2 at Ateliers Restaurant and Lounge. For further information, contact us at 652-2542, 652-2688, and 790-1202. You can also visit any of our branches located at 101 Cracknesh Village, Princestown, and 51 Rushwood Street in San Fernando. Stylish Furniture, for the style in you.
Music from Jamaica, Town of Mali and Wheeler. Rocksteady, to the drum and bass, rule your waistline in the place. I see dogs with drugs, marijuana. They are with Kim Susie Thailand. He sound sing up a play upon the corner.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM radio. Hear my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
The steel pan, the only musical instrument invented in the 20th century, is a reflection of the perseverance and innovativeness of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, which have always been central to our development as a nation. And the steel pan story epitomizes this, carved out of life and struggle and determination, rising out of the spirit of the African drum. The steel pan stands today as evidence of innovativeness, creativity, and passion for life integral to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Kwesi Paul. Join me each and every Sunday from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight on the Street 91.9 FM.
Looking for a safe and relaxed professional massage therapist and nutritionist?
Look no further. Nature's Touch with Empress Judy and Associates offers a natural approach to better health. Treat yourself to a professional massage therapy and nutrition advice in a safe and relaxed atmosphere. Rejuvenate your body, mind, and soul at Nature's Touch Therapy. For an appointment, please call or WhatsApp 1-868-398-8282 or visit our Facebook page. Remember, your health is our responsibility at Nature's Touch.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen.
So there's a need for brotherhood.
Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen. Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen.
Brotherhood is demanded.
Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen.
Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory. Brotherhood is essential, it is urgent, and it is compulsory. But the time demands brotherhood. Whenever the dominant white society fears for its economic future, racial tensions are always aggravated. The aim of Almighty God is to bring the black man and woman together. The aim of Almighty God is that we, no matter how divided we have been in the past, must experience unity in order to gain the success that we seek and the progress that we desire. There is no way that a divided people can build a future. Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. So there's a need for brotherhood. But if you walk the earth proud and arrogant, you never learn your lesson because you think you already know. And how in the hell could you know and be in the shape that we're in? How can there be any brotherhood if there's not even the honoring of a word?
Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen. Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen. Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen.
But the Quran and the Bible bear witness that the heavens and the earth were created with truth.
Black man stand up, black man you better listen.
Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory. Brother, it is essential, it is urgent, and it is compulsory. I feel that every man that wants to speak should have the right. And if you think you know it better, get on up and get on and do the job. But if you don't know what to do, and all your mouth is able to do is condemn and criticize, but you have no works to show the rightness of your philosophical adherence, then maybe you should rethink your position.
Welcome back and welcome to the second hour of the Black Agenda here on the Street 919 FM. We're going up to 9 o'clock. In a short while, I will take your calls on 342-0081 and 466-5391. Remember, November in Trinidad and Tobago is African History Month. And tomorrow at the Kwame Ture Center, 11 o'clock, we have a special lecture for African History Month entitled, What is Anti-Semitism? And who are the original Jews? Who are the original Hebrews? And the reason that the question on anti-Semitism is coming up once again is because of the twisted version of cancel culture. The amount of black entertainers, artists, celebrities, athletes who are expressing any kind of black consciousness that links our heritage to that of being the first of the Jewish people, or any statement, period. Not even an offensive statement. It could be an ideological opinion. But if it is not to the liking of certain individuals with power and influence, you can lose millions of dollars in wealth. You can be censored. You could lose contracts. You could be made an example of, as we're seeing with Kanye West and Kyrie Irving, and also Dave Chappelle, to a lesser extent in this instance. So tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock, we're dealing with that. Now, regarding the idea of a gun amnesty, my immediate position and response is that in doing so, we have absolutely nothing to lose. The more guns off the street, the better it is for our communities. And there are two immediate pathways that we can take to try to reduce the number of guns on the street. One is to stop them from coming in. Two is to get them out. We already know that the state, law enforcement, government, capitalist business interests are not interested in stopping the guns from coming into the poorer communities or the so-called ghettos. So therefore, we have to take some kind of initiative on the inside of the community to participate in the process to get them out. Because those who are bringing in the guns and the drugs are not the young black youth on the corner in the gang who are communing as some kind of fraternity committing crimes. They are not the ones bringing in the guns. The ones bringing in the guns are those who are above the law, paying off politicians, making major multi-million-dollar donations to political parties for their campaigning for elections. Those who employ security guards, those who pay corrupt police, those who have twisted and corrupted so many law-abiding sectors of our society and community. They, the big fish, big business, 1% criminals, are the ones who are bringing in the guns, and they're not going to be stopped from doing that. Therefore, we must have some kind of option to get the guns out. So in Jamaica, early November, there's this gun amnesty taking place. But what we need to understand and appreciate from our point of view is that in most capitalist societies, gun laws are designed in the best interest of the rich. So who can own a gun legally has a lot to do with how much money you have, the wealth that you're in possession of, your occupational profession, social standing in society, and also your ethnicity. There has always been a bias against black people, African people, who are not considered to be in the elite or ruling class to be given legal firearms. It's a fact. We have more than enough evidence to explain and verify that. So remember, many of the people who own legal guns are already connected to the private security industry. And private security firms are part of the industrial commercial setup as money-making business enterprises, but private security are not deputized to engage in investigations, apprehension, questioning of suspects, nor launching raids or doing searches and arrests. So it's like you have the private security companies that are owned by some of the wealthy elites within the society who already have legal guns, and that acts as their private police force. Meanwhile, they have to have avenues into the public police force through corruption in there. And something that we have totally missed as well, and I want you to think deeply about this, but poorly paid police officers is a symptom and precondition for a corrupt matrix of self-refueling organized crime. Now, all across the Caribbean, we need to increase the salaries of the police. Because the lower the salaries of the police are, the higher the vulnerability and susceptibility for them to take bribes and become involved as partners with organized criminals who are not black. So the gun amnesty now gives an opportunity to filter out so many criminalizing elements in the community by possession of these illegal firearms, and it takes away this arbitrary power to say someone had a gun, we can execute them, or this person is in possession of a gun, we can go and arbitrarily arrest them, or many of the young people in the community, sometimes the young teenagers, even children, and they use the term gun sacks, who they get to keep these illegal firearms, who are not under the suspicion of the police. So they have an illegal gun in a home of an innocent family where that home could be potentially raided and the whole family go down as suspects. Plus, remember, guns were invented by white people to kill black people, so whenever a gun is in a black man's hand, he's not going to kill anyone else but another black man just like him. And you need to also understand that if black people with guns were killing anyone else but other black people like themselves, then a gun would not be so easy to get. Think, beloved, if all of these black youth with guns were shooting Syrians Chinese, whites, East Indians, anyone else but other black people like themselves. If they were doing that, then they would not be so many guns loosely on the street. Could get a gun almost anywhere. You could talk to someone on the corner and say, where can I buy one, or find one, or borrow one, or rent one? And the only reason why guns are so easy to get in our societies is because the only other people who are being shot by them are other black people like ourselves. So a gun amnesty can only do us good. We have nothing to lose. But before it is done, though, there has to be some kind of dialogue between potentially rivaling factions, some kind of alternative opportunity to go into business or get contracts or develop our communities in such a way that we have sustainable means of generating income in a legal way. We have to have conversations with law enforcement, but also with the schools, also with the businesses, also with the religious institutions and social organizations, with the state in general, so that opportunities can be broadened and made more accessible, because it's not going to be solved with a narrow-minded tunnel vision look at one aspect of the problem. It's a nationwide community societal problem that has to be addressed on all fronts. So Jamaica have their gun amnesty taking place right now. And you have all of these different views and opinions. And a lot of people tend to use this term, oh, it's not working, or it will not work. Okay. But what do we have to lose? These guns are only killing us, no one else. So I want to draw some quick examples here. Two countries, South Africa and Australia, have had what we can consider to be. You see, it depends on how you look at it as well. If it's in a community and one gun is bought off the street, can we really call that failure? If so many of these guns are being used to shoot and kill our young men? Even if one gun comes in, or two or three, can we really say it did not work? So South Africa, actually, well, they and Australia had an ongoing gun amnesty. A continuous gun amnesty. Like in Jamaica right now, is going on for 2 weeks. It started on November the 5th. So that would take us up to just about the 19th or so. But South Africa had one for 6 months. And then when it was over, they re-implemented it for another 6 months. And they had it as ongoing. South Africa were able to pull in 25,000 guns. Think about that. 25,000 illegal firearms. And they destroyed them. Voluntarily handed over during 2 gun amnesties. All right. 24,910 firearms destroyed. Australia had a gun amnesty as well, which was considered successful. They called it a rolling program, which allowed anyone in possession of an illicit or unwanted firearm to hand it over to authorities in a renewed attempt by state and federal law enforcement agencies to reduce the tens of thousands of illicit weapons that fall into criminal hands. You see, Trinidad, I remember having a conversation with Professor Don Jacob years ago. That's all I'm going to say, which highlighted. Imagine Professor Don Jacob was at the top of his organization And those in his organization who were white, way lower than him, were able to get guns. License. But he, black, they're senior. Delayed paperwork, additional questions. There's a huge ethnic bias in this. Samoa, some members of the public had a 2-month gun amnesty to bring in unregistered and illegal guns. And they were given, and this is another important part of it too, there can be some kind of incentive. In Samoa, persons who bought in guns were given a $50 electricity coupon. So you got $50 that you could have redeemed at the electricity company. An incentive for that in Trinidad might be you give a gas voucher of the equivalent $300 in gas or $1,000 in gas for bringing in a gun, whatever it is. I think that can go very far. One place that I guess we could say went horribly wrong was Namibia. Because the police chief of Namibia called for this gun amnesty, and the Minister of National Security, his name was Albert Kawana, had their press conference, did their announcement, we're having a gun amnesty, and we are letting people bring in illegal guns, and no one is going to be prosecuted, no one's going to be arrested. And they actually turned around on their word and did indeed arrest and prosecute some people who bought in guns in Namibia. That was just last year. And that, I think, was a terrible thing, because even though that was in a foreign country, if there's a gun amnesty, say, in a neighboring country, there may be trust issues because of what happened in Namibia. And people may say, well, if it happened over there, maybe it could happen over here too. And people who get those reports may become reluctant. Okay, that was what was called a failed gun amnesty in Turks and Caicos earlier this year. And China had one back in 2006. There are quite a few of them, but many times, and what you'll notice about many of these gun amnesties is the same gun amnesty was referred to as both a success and a failure by different interest groups. So people would look at the same thing. Some would say, oh, it was a success because we had such and such amount of guns come in. And other people would look at the same amnesty and say, oh, no, that was a failure because we only had such and such amount of guns come in. Well, I would tend to lean more towards the side of seeing it as a success. But you have to build trust first. And especially with some of these crooked, corrupt officers who have a reputation of planting substances on people and also asking youth. There's one young man, I'm just remembering, I was about to say I lost touch with him, but thinking now he's around. But this is in the early days, maybe about 15 years ago. Someone sent me an email, long email. I hope the brother's listening. Sent me an email about an experience that he had where police were coming to him, asking him to hold a gun. Just hold it to get his fingerprints on it. And constant harassment with issues with guns. And he sent this long email. So if police officers have reputations for doing things like that, or even if people hear about things like that being done, and then a gun amnesty is called, it would be difficult for them to trust such a process. But I'm saying, I believe, and I've been saying it for more than 20 years in this country, that I think a police or gun amnesty would be a good thing. Even if just a handful of guns come in, it would be a good thing. And I think it's something that should be explored, especially in light of the current circumstances. Because everybody, because they did some qualitative research on this as well, and persons in gangs who were known to have guns, they interviewed a few in Jamaica just a couple of weeks ago, and again, everyone is saying the same thing. Same thing when we went around to some of the different community groups called gangs, and we asked them about this idea, and many of them said, well, we want peace, but it's the other side that does not want the peace. And in Jamaica, the people that they interviewed were saying, listen, we need our guns as protection from the others. And then when you go and talk to the others, they say the same thing. Well, we need our guns to protect us from them because they're planning to attack us. When you go back to the other side and talk, they say, no, we're not planning to attack anyone. We just want to defend ourselves. So everyone is talking about having guns in their possession to defend themselves, to protect themselves. Meanwhile, the only people who are allowed those legal guns are the business community, using these words in quotes. And even if they kill you, and could hire some smart lawyer to present a case that you felt that your life was in danger at that time, then they dead in a coffin and you go back to business as usual with the business people. I'll never forget. A young black youth went into a store on Frederick Street in Port of Spain. The owner shot him, killed him. And the Minister of National Security went and shook his hand. Now, look, think about that. Think about that. Business owner, I think he was Lebanese, on Frederick Street, kills a black man with his licensed firearm. Now, in such a case, because of how valuable life is, there should be some kind of apprehension, some kind of investigation, and then we can determine, okay, so this person drew a firearm to shoot you, and in defense, you shot back or whatever. No investigation, nothing. Minister of National Security went and shook his hand. Let's open up the phone lines. Three 342-0081 and 466-5391. Let's go to the phones. Caller, good morning.
Assalamu alaikum, Terrestrial Hakim Mohammed.
Walaikum salam.
Brother, you spoke about so many things this morning that I want to touch on some of them, but I wouldn't go there. What I want to do this morning, before I go there, I want to say that tomorrow, I think it's starting tomorrow, as they always do every year, the Emancipation Support Committee has the school program with the children on television, African history. Every year they do it, and yesterday I do in society always say, what Emancipation Support Committee doing? I also want to say that right now, the 1% that they are going to be investing in Africa just now. You understand? So what's going on? But that is not where I want to go this morning. What I go this morning, I want to congratulate Shuma Wilson's son, Darren Marcel.
Oh, yes.
I want to congratulate him.
Yes.
And I want to say to him, behind the bridge, a place of outstanding people. There are those who cannot be shuttled, but will stand tall and make their presence felt. Here are a few such determined minds. Sir Hugh Wooden, a formidable legal mind, who became mayor, chairman of numerous boards, chancellor of UWI, chief justice, and was with a distinguished knighthood. Makandal Daga, a City University undergraduate of the 70s, whose black power, mantra, and status, whose rattle the status quo until the doors of opportunity were open to qualified locals. Dr. A.H. Markshine, he studied under the street lamps to gain a scholarship and to enter the university to become Trinidad and Tobago's first surgeon eye doctor, and was also mayor of Port of Spain and president of the Trinidad Cooperative Bank. Hamilton Holder, without any support from government, his private school Progressive captured the prestigious Junior Silver Medal. He was also mayor of Port of Spain. I went to that school, he was my principal. Professor Courtney Bartholomew, internationally renowned medical doctor in AIDS research and director of the Medical Research Foundation of Trinidad and Tobago. Jules Clinton Bernard, although he entered the bar from a different trajectory, he earned the respect of his esteemed colleagues to become Chief Justice. And they are just a few from behind the bridge. So I want to say to Marcel, you have joined these great minds from behind the bridge. And I saw yesterday the resounding support that you get from the people from behind the bridge when they came to congratulate you. I want to say to them also, remember, he's a lawyer, he's your brother, he's your cousin, he's your son. He's employed his job is a lawyer. When you go to him, go with respect and also go and carry his money. Don't expect him to work for free. He has done in the community, he's an example in the community to what all these great minds have done. And I won't finish this, some other day I'll finish the rest. What all these great minds have done, and you have continued along that track. And there are many others who can, for it doesn't mean what school you go to. It doesn't mean, you understand, you didn't go class, you didn't go one of the high prestigious school, but your mind, you have the mind to become what you want to be and who you want to be, and you have done this, and the community have embraced you, and you are an example that many others will follow after you. That is what I want to say this morning, Brother David. I feel so proud when I saw it yesterday, you understand, that this young brother has reached where he's supposed to reach, and there are many others. And live, and always remember where you come from. Have a good day, my brother. Reach home safe.
Thank you so much. And let me take the opportunity also to congratulate, first of all of those who graduated, all of the students from the universities, so many of whom came up out of adversity, hardship, trials, tribulation. I saw so many of them yesterday that I know how difficult it was. And they still persevered. And seeing all the pictures posted, all of the hugs, all of the congratulations, being at one of the UE graduations yesterday, you know, like when there's a batch of students, the host would say, please hold your applause until the end of the group. And parents and family members couldn't resist, especially when they announced honors or first-class honors or distinction in degrees. They couldn't resist, and, you know, parents and family members were so happy. They just burst out in support and shout-outs, and it was received well by everyone. Incidentally, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles delivered the feature address. But it's such a beautiful experience, that kind of achievement. I want to say to young brother Kareem Marcel, not just congratulations, but thanks for being an example. I communicated with his mother yesterday, and she reminded me of how much I believed in him. We could say literally as a child. Because when we had, and some of you may remember, but when we had our first African Unity Conference, He was one of the feature speakers, one of the guest speakers. But not as the Kareem Marcel we know today, who is officially an attorney at law. He was one of the guest speakers as a 17-year-old with potential. We looked at him and said, this youth here, you can see he's going to be made into something great. He wasn't this great law student and attorney. He wasn't that then. He was a youth who clearly had potential. He was 17 years old. When I met him, he would have been about either 15 or 16 years old. I said, listen, you know, I'd like you to be a guest speaker at our African Unity Conference. And we had about 700 people out there at the Laventil Technology Center. That was 2013. That was the first one we had. And of course, every year since then, we've been having the African Unity Conference. And in 2018, we used that same day to launch the Kwame Ture Center. But from back then, it was clear. It was clear. And, you know, for the African Unity Conference this year, we had another young brother who's 16 years old speaking. You see the potential in our youth. But when young brothers like Kareem Marcel make these kinds of achievements, it shows us in the community that there's truth in what we're saying. That you can do anything, you can achieve anything, you can be anyone that you want to be, you can accomplish whatever you put your mind to. So the more we have brothers like Kareem, is the more the mission is believable. So instead of just talking about it, we can say, hey, look at this example here. This is what you can achieve. But of course, I have to say as well, you have to give a lot of credit to his beloved mother, my friend of, I guess, about 20 years or so, Sister Sherma Wilson, who is an activist, conscious woman, radio presenter, in the past at least. Sister Sherma, and you know, it's so sad because her close friend was Marcia Henville, and their two sons were friends. In fact, I have a photograph at the Kwame Ture Center with myself, Kareem Marcel, and Chioke Henville. Of course, they were friends from very small children, and then, of course, Chioke met his tragic end prematurely. But, and there's another person in that picture two other people in that picture who each have their own stories as well. So you never know. You never know. I should post that picture because different people in the picture, all young people, went in different directions, had different results. So Kareem Marcel, thank you. But Sherma Wilson, thank you as well. You've done great with that young man, with your children in general, because, you know, Carissa is also a young entrepreneur. But blessings and best wishes. And I will say from the Quran, because I've seen this, I've lived it, there are those who would smile with you. But as Allah says in the Quran, He says there are those who, when good happens to you, it grieves them. And when misfortune befalls you, they rejoice. And there are people like that in Trinidad. Good things happen to you, it bothers them. And bad things happen to you, it fills them with joy. But when they are like that, they do injustice to their own souls. There are persons who have put their own life on pause, waiting for someone else's life to take a negative turn so that they can feel good about themselves. I caution you and us against those of that mind frame. Congratulations, best wishes, Brother Kareem Marcel. And we look forward to you also inspiring more of our people within the community. And of course, our beloved sister Shirma Wilson, congratulations to you also. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. (342-0081) and 466-5391. Caller, good morning.
Morning,
Good morning.
Oh.
Good morning.
Oh. We have two callers on the line.
Morning.
Okay, let's let our sister go first, all right? If that's okay.
Well, are you?
Yeah, hello?
Yes. Go ahead, please. We have two calls on the line, so
All right. Well, I know ladies always get the preference, and especially here, we respect those principles. But I must say thank you.
My apologies to the last caller, though. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I too, because I couldn't put it better the way my brother dear said it. Congratulations and thanks, like what you are saying to that young man, to being a light, to being an exemplar. Listen, that was a proud moment for us. It is a proud moment. And my brother there, he said that, don't expect you go and you pay and whatnot. But I would also tell the brother, knowing our history, knowing what you know, you can work for free too when the time presents itself.
Right, but that is a choice that the attorney has to make, though.
He has to make, but
Right.
I would add that
It's not a choice that the customer or the client could make.
Not at all, of course.
But clients do try to make choices like that, though.
That's right. I know that. But anyways, my take on the guns that come into this country is just like what you're saying there. It's for the main purpose to put in the hands of young Africans to destroy themselves. No African can go anywhere and shoot anybody else of another ethnicity, of another race. So that is the main purpose of the guns, the ammunition, and the drugs, to put in our communities to self-destruct, for them to destroy themselves. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Good morning, caller.
Yes, Brother David.
Yes, sir.
I also want to be on the bandwagon congratulating Mr. Karim Marcel, his mother, especially his mother, because when you hear what he went through to educate her children, according to in the ghetto, it's amazing. It needs some kind of merit beyond some merit list for this person called Shirma Wilson. Because, Brother David, according to what's going on, when you leave the secondary, while you're in secondary school, it's either guns or the ladies and their children themselves into prostitutes. Every single thing written inside the was Virginia, and men and them getting the turn to God. They're speaking about education before them, because the same education system that everybody passing through. And if you want to take it in, Karim Marcel is a prime example of taking in the education, sitting down behind your books, day, night, whatever time you feel to hold on to your books, to get our education to be what he is today. And we know that between in the folly of children to be, we have process like that. We have the youth and them who want to do that. but mindset of what is going on in fact, WWW is what is driving some of them to these untoward programs. If you like that, you going to guns or going to. What I'm saying, Brother David, Sorry, Marcel is a prime example for you. Now, another point I want to raise is CARICOM and Africa is looking to strengthen ties and bonds. Yes, that is it.
We have to strengthen the ties and bonds.
Well, what I'm saying is that, let me say, one of the presenters is speaking about having direct flight to the Caribbean, to Africa. With Africa businessmen coming into Trinbago and CARICOM and setting up business. And not no hamper, no red tape or no green tape or whatever tape they want to put wrong it, so that it will like this kind of struggle or hard to them to come and put on business. I would like to see the bond strengthen some more, so have the potential of unifying CARICOM and Africa and make sure that the unity sticks. Because Brother David, it's greater than great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Brother David. Morning, Tolman.
Good morning to you.
Brother David, I was totally joyed yesterday of what I saw and what I experienced, and but everybody else said beautifully this morning. I don't want to repeat what they have said about Kareem Marcel, right? But my wish is that we have more Kareem Marcels that could come out of our communities, especially become that our communities, Lavantil, Mova, you just name it. Because what I experienced yesterday is something like what the people in America that experienced with civil rights leaders and in Africa. I've never experienced such joy. Because you see, the harder the struggle, when you see people emerge out of that struggle, when you see his mother, Shua, my good friend, emerge out of the struggle and see success, you see that joy, Brother David. You understand? You see like what you are doing at the community center, it is not going unnoticed by us. You know? You understand? I feel that joy with what I be seeing going on. I wish more people could, more people in the community could come and support what you are doing there. You understand? And Brother David, I love your presentation this morning on anti-Semitism, where Kanye West is concerned and Mr. Farrakhan. You know, I've been following that, and boy, they really giving black people a raw deal all around the world. And I love the points that you brought. You understand? So Kareem Marcel, Brother David, everybody who have a positive mind and who want to do some positive stuff, lift our community, by God bless all it. You understand? God bless you all. Keep it up. Everybody. I mean, when I talk about all the radio presenters, you name them from 91.9, everywhere, all the activists, everybody throughout Levantis, Mova, throughout Trinidad and Tobago, everyone who are doing some positive stuff, lift our community, doing something in any small way could influence one person, someone individual, someone Trinbagonian. By God bless you all and keep it up. Brother David, over and out. I love what you all are doing.
Thank you, sir. Good to hear from you after all this time. Caller, good morning.
Hello.
Yes.
Morning, Brother David.
Yes, good morning. Good morning.
Brother David, before I make my contribution, I want to say something. I want to tell the young, or the not young, the women of African descent, stop going down at that Baraka grounds to get any kind of assistance, help. Because when you do, that guy, I'll call his name because he said it, this is not the first time he said it. He said it, how he not helping all you again, so all you might not even be able to go, because he say not helping all you again, because you only come in, and he asked all you with the child father, and the child father in prison, and who gets shoot, and he want to know why all you making 4 and 5 children. All you stop it. Stop it. Stop embarrassing all yourself. There are other places you can go if you need help. Stop going down on that Baraka grounds. Oh God, last week, Wednesday gone, that man ridicule African woman and talk about, and 95% out of the people coming for help is of one race, and on he questioned them. Really? Well, Brother David, I never know. People that give people help and go and throw it back in their face after. So I'm saying this morning, you women of African descent, stop going. Well, all you can't go again, but who want to still go, stop going there. Right. I had to get that off my chest.
Right, but let me just add one point to that, because as a Muslim in the Holy Quran, there's a very strong directive regarding giving charity. And it says, the Quran says, it's better to give a kind word to someone. It's better to say something positive to someone than to give them something and follow it up by reproaching them.
I heard you said that already, but he probably reading a different Quran to you. Because, Brother David, this is not the first time that man, I heard him said it on television. I think was during the when they had killed when they had abducted two doctors from San Fernando Hospital, and Facebook was ablaze, and them end this and that, and he jumped in the dance. He didn't use the N-word, but he talk about, and when them pests, he said when them pests kill they leave the woman with 3 and 4 children is by we did this come. And I was calling in to tell him, and a lady got in before me, and she said, oh God, Sean, how you could do that? You don't give with one hand and then embarrass with the next hand. So he reading a different Quran to you, Brother David. Oh God, he's saying, I make no apology for what I say. So he feel proud to ridicule all the African women. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah? I saying like, where was his name? Chubby?
Reverend
who used to say on Power 102, stop it.
Chubby David,
David Mohammed, that thing, when I tell you, I couldn't believe it. But I heard it before. But this year, this Wednesday gone, oh God, he went to town. Lord, all you stop that. Brother David, this thing, with this, this thing, it has upset me. Because I am saying, okay, we saying, tongue saying, the whoever, the Syrian, the Indian, the Chinese who bringing in the guns, Brother David. My take on this is, good morning to, what's his name, Legacy Guy. I love your contribution. Why is it the African youth going and take the guns, Brother David? Why? Look, I listened to Carrie Marcel said when he had graduated at the Leeuwarden Law School, he said, you name it, I saw it. He said, I in the belly of the beast. He said, I see all kind of drugs and guns. And he chose to go the correct way. And this is what our elders supposed to be saying. Do like Kareem Marcel, you see it. Brother David, leave it alone. Kareem, hats off to you. Narikele to you. But listen, Kareem, boy, you should be a motivational speaker. They should use Kareem Marcel as a motivational speaker to go in them schools. All them were fighting. Karim, oh God, see, I wish the Minister Gatsby Dolly get in touch with Karim Assil and let him go and speak to these young people because they are listening to the elders. Let them hear somebody like them, an African young brother, could tell them where he come from and what he achieved. Oh God.
Yeah, thank you so much. The time has crept up on us. So, beloved family, I'll be back on next week. Remember, tomorrow, 11 o'clock in the morning at the Kwame Ture Center, we deliver that lecture on anti-Semitism. It's very important. Stay tuned to the Street 919 FM as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.